Hello and welcome to EXP Required, where we talk about Final Fantasy and other things. I'm joined by Mole, as always. How are you doing, Mole?
I'm not too bad. Contrary to our last episode, where it was stiflingly hot, it's pleasantly warm today. There is rain in the forecast, which I'm not looking forward to, but otherwise I'm doing good. What about yourself, Jack?
Yeah, I'm happy. It's cooled down somewhat, so it's not like the fires of hell, but it's nice and manageable, and hopefully it won't rain too much. And we're British, we complain about the weather all the time, don't we?
Oh yeah, that's part for the parcel of starting this thing now, isn't it?
Absolutely. But we have a guest today, don't we, Mole?
We do, and I'm very excited because I was the one that set this up, and I don't usually do that. So if everyone would like to join us in welcoming the one, the only, the wonderful Jonas Gawe.
Hello. I'm Jonas. I'm here.
How are you doing? How is the weather down for you?
I'm so bad at being British about the weather because it's just what I expect it to be these days, to the point that I can't even bring myself to comment on it. It's grey, but we did this morning have gone for a small walk by a nice river and a loch with some pastry and coffee in hand.
Oh, that sounds
The
lovely.
sun was shining for all of 3 minutes, and now it's gone back to periods like heavy rain for like 2 minutes, and then just bright and grey. And then it will rain again for 2 minutes and on and on.
Bright and grey. We really are going into the second half of the year now, aren't we?
Bright and grey. Lovely. That's brilliant. That's just like, put that on a postcard. It's bright and grey here.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, Jonas. I've been really excited knowing that we're getting to talk to you for quite some time now, not just in part because of the many different hats that you wear. We've done our research on you. You've done community management, you do program management, you do talks, you do organisation, you do voice acting, you do so many different things. First question, how the hell do you have the time for it all?
I'd like to thank my personal sponsor, Google Calendar. As far as I'm concerned, my day is long. If I've got 2 hours free, anything can happen, essentially. And so, yeah, I've always been the kind of person where I can't just do one thing. I can't just have a 9 to 5 and be satisfied. I have to have something that happens on a Tuesday evening. I have to go somewhere on a Saturday morning. I have to have a monthly this and a bi-weekly that, and streaming in the evening or a podcast there. And so the reality is, it's just, if I have free time, I've got that problem where I have to fill my free time with other acts of productivity.
The longer that we do this podcast stuff, the more I keep feeling like if I've got a spare 5 minutes and I'm not doing anything, even if I'm just like actively trying to rest, I'm like, I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I need to start doing something, which is terrible because it means like shutting off is just an impossible thing these days.
Yep. It feels like you're building to something, doesn't it? It feels like everything is going to be part of my life and I'm going to make something of this, definitely.
So next question then, how much coffee do you drink on a daily basis?
So one of the hats I used to wear was barista. So my tolerance for coffee is high. I have taught my body to withstand many a caffeinated drink. So I've only had 2 coffees this morning. It's 12 o'clock at the time we're recording. I will have a third one once we're done, 100%. I will not have a fourth. But despite loving coffee and drinking a lot of it, I have quite a lot of rules about how many. I won't have so many coffees in a short amount of time. I won't have coffees after like 4 or 5 p.m. if I can help it.
Yeah.
And I'm just very strict about, like, even if I'm in an office with a coffee machine, I do not just have coffees back to back to back to back to back, because I do not liketh to be close to Icarus, who flieth too closeth to thy sunneth.
Yes. No, I have a similar thing with Pepsi Max. I just like open cans and you drink Pepsi Max, and I'm like, I've got 4 empty cans up there. I don't want to drink any more because it's too much in one day. Let's stop, because it can't be good for you, can it?
Yeah, so many different hats then. Obviously, I think doing my research, you recently picked up the role of community manager for Electric Saint, a small indie game dev, and you also are the program manager for Limit Break, which is games industry mentorship program, which I'm a part of. This was honestly how I first learned about you, so being able to then get in touch with the program manager and have him on was really, really cool for me. What's a day in the life like for Jonas?
Yeah, so since I started as the program manager of Limit Break at the beginning of this year, last year I was just doing their events, and that was like a little bit of a freelance kind of part-time gig. And now being the program manager, it's a part-time role, so contracted 20-something hours a week. So I found myself kind of thinking, well, that's like only 2 or 3 days. Like, I need to fill the rest of my time. And so I started trying to communicate to people that, like, hey, does anyone have any projects that I could pick up? And then I know Anna Hollenrake through some of the work that I've done in the games industry. And so it was agreed that I could help out more with Electric Saint, and that there's a lot that we could do there, and there's lots of plans, and, we've done a Kickstarter and all these things. And so what that's kind of become is Limit Break doesn't really have office hours. Like, I'm not clocking in 9 to 5 and like wearing my suit and tie and sort of doing my hours. It's more, a lot of my jobs are very needs based and project based now. So it's less that I get up every single day, sit at my laptop at the same hours and do like the same kind of administrative tasks. It's more like I'm always on call for these organizations, and it's more that they have different needs and different kind of what's the word I want to use here? Like, my capacity for them flexes based on how much as they need. So a very busy week at Limit Break means a lot more meetings, a lot more calls, a lot more emails, a lot more kind of messaging people, maybe actually going to London and talking to someone and trying to host an event or find a mentor, or trying to organize like a talk that's online, and trying to coordinate with a lot more of our volunteers to make something happen, sometimes with a higher time pressure. So for example, we've just announced that we're doing 3 events and they're going to be across the UK, and I've just had to organise all of that more or less by myself over August, while also working weekends at a festival and things like that. So that's been a really busy month of sitting on my laptop and trying to do all of that admin. But then there are weeks where actually it's a bit quieter, and actually I can be a bit more proactive in following my own thoughts up, or trying to make something happen that no one's asking me to happen, but I think would be nice for the programme. And then similarly with Electric Saint, if we're doing the Kickstarter, that's me sitting down and actually I'm going to dedicate 2 or 3 hours to communicating these things and writing these emails and pre-writing this copy and trying to preempt problems when it gets, and then actually when there's not too much to do, it's room to think, it's room to have conversations with everyone and ask, what's next? What can we preempt? What can we do? And that's one of my strengths. I don't really market it very well, but like, one of my strengths is I'm just really good at like solving other people's problems. It's why I'm producery. It's why I like someone with a creative vision to come up to me and say, Jonas, I would like this to happen, but I am my own worst enemy. Help me. In which case I can be a professional hype man. I can either make things happen, or I can convince people that they can do things, and I can be in their corner cheering for them professionally, which is another way of saying I will invoice you after this.
No, that's really, really cool. I mean, that sounds like the dream way of working, to be honest with you. The 9 to 5 thing, like, to me, it's quite restricting sometimes. Like, sometimes you can't get as much done as you want. Sometimes you have too much time to sort of sit there and twiddle your thumbs. What you're saying, it sounds like you manage your time accordingly, which sounds like a dream, to be honest with you. But I guess there's some challenges with it as well.
Like, just it is hard to turn off. Work never ends. You know what I mean? If anyone, let's say I collaborate with up to, 60 people at a time. If any one of those people is online, I could be working. I could be sending them a message. I could be asking them how they're doing. I could be planning next month with them. I could be, whatever, exchanging details, sending a document, reading a document. So it is good to kind of figure out where your switching off point is, which is it's hard. Part of the reason, I'm very lucky that these are flexible. I just spent 2.5 months traveling around Japan. And like, that flexibility was amazing because I kept working while traveling. I was able to do that. And that is an absolute dream. Like, there is no doubt about it. I was able to start work at 5 p.m. in Japan, and then I would go have dinner when everyone had their lunch break in the UK. And then I would come back and do my afternoon, and it would get to about 1 or 2 a.m. And then I'd go to bed, which, if I was in the UK, I would just be gaming until 1 or 2 a.m. and then go to bed. So it's still, my time pattern's roughly the same. But yeah, the hard part is like switching off or letting work. Someone messaging me, for example, when I'm like out doing errands, even though it's like, it might be midday on a Thursday, so by all reason, I should and could be sat at my laptop working. But let's say I've made an appointment just because I have that kind of freedom to do so. You then kind of get a bit guilty and a bit regretful when like work starts happening and you're not immediately in the chair to respond to it.
No, hard relate. I've had a very flexible job for the last 7.5 years. And it's exactly like you say, when you're sat there not really doing anything, it's like, I should be doing something. And even if you're just like, I want to turn off, or I don't quite know what I should be doing at this point, it's still like the guilt is there, and it's very, very real and very, very heavy as well.
Yeah.
That's all really cool stuff, though. When it comes to Limit Break, I know that you've one of the things on your card is that you helped like push this year's production with like a fraction of the budget, which is insanely cool. Budgetary work is no fucking joking matter. So congratulations on that primarily, and congratulations on successfully starting this UK tour, as I think it was announced in the Discord as well. It's a very I did get quite a chuckle out of that. What would you say you're most proud of having done for Limit Break so far?
So I've been a mentee with Limit Break for 3 years. That was 2022, 2023, and 2024. And in 2024, at the very beginning, my name got flagged up as someone who would make a good community manager, and that also meant leading the events team. So I started working with Limit Break last year and running their events, and suddenly being dropped in my lap was the opening ceremony. So that was an in-person event for about 150 people in central London with food and drink and things like that. And I think, genuinely one of my proudest moments was making that happen in such a short time span with such short notice. The expectations there were a little bit that we'd actually have someone come in to organise that for us. That wasn't me, for example. And then it was me. And that was a bit, oh dear, okay, how do I make this happen?
I'm in the thick of it now.
That was the moment where I had gone from, okay, I'm just getting into this games industry thing, to standing on a staircase with Ben Starr pointing into the audience with a microphone in hand and like being able to deliver pub quiz questions with Ben Starr, essentially, of Final Fantasy 16 fame. And yeah, I think I'm still incredibly proud of that day, like, because we did make up a little pub quiz and everyone got really involved and we had such a frenetic energy, and I was able to see like a cross section of the UK games industry in one room having fun, like networking and engaging, and I felt a lot of ownership for that and a lot of pride. Since then, because of the budget, we're not able to bring people into one room as easily, but we're still able to do that in a very digital kind of sense. We hosted really two amazing events last year. Again, one was Ben Starr, Jennifer English, Hannah Price, director, Martin Vaughan, casting director, and a few other kind of big names in games and voice and things like that, and performance art. And to have them all in one room in central London, and I just felt like so blown away that here I've barely been here for 7 or 8 months, and here I am, as a Baldur's Gate player, as a Final Fantasy player, as a lover of video games, like some people who have brought to life some of the things that I love and I am a fan of, and that was and not just for myself, but to a room of other people who I knew felt just the same, if not even more kind of starstruck and awe-inspired by the talent and the passion in the room. So yes, those are some really big moments for me.
Yeah, I would be exceptionally proud as well if that was me.
I think that's really cool. I mean, it's because I guess in a way you're just getting started as well. So here's to the next thing as well. And I will also note that you said Ben Starr before I did, which is because usually I get the get the Ben Starr quote room for these episodes, because he tends to get mentioned at least once in these episodes, which I think is
at least once, and it is usually by you as well.
Testament to Ben's influence on Final Fantasy and the wider industry and stuff like that. But no, that does sound like a really cool event that I wish I could go back in time and be at, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so, I'm sad that I missed that one as well, actually.
We'll try and organise more of that same kind of energy and semblance in the future. Fingers crossed. Sponsor us.
Yeah.
Anyone out there?
Anyone out there who's listening and has money.
Yeah, come on, Ben. You're listening. We know you are. I've given you my card, right? So, no, I guess I got a bit of a tangential question on that, because obviously you've mentioned Jennifer English and Ben and people like that. Obviously, you're into games and stuff like that. Have you noticed, because my experience of the game industry of people like that is that they are all very genuine. I mean, obviously, not everybody's genuine, but most people that I've come across at events where I've been, either volunteering or I've been as a punter and stuff like that, have been extremely approachable and part of the kind of the wider family. So is that something that is something you notice from your perspective in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, video games isn't Hollywood. There's a certain element where you can find success in games, but that actually doesn't completely and utterly remove you from normal life anymore. Like, to find success in games is to find success in actually quite a niche audience. And it's often to find success in an industry that doesn't necessarily know your face and your name. And therefore, normal life can continue when you find success in games, I think. And while, I'm 100% certain that some people have found success in games and been able to do more with their lives, whether it's travel the world, whether it's work on projects that are with international sort of recognition and fame, and I'm sure that there's money and opportunities that come with that. At the end of the day, I think you still end up kind of going home and you buy your Greg's sausage roll and you use your Starbucks rewards card to get your free white mocha, whatever. And I know.
Very specific here,
the point
Jonas.
of being is actually, I think games is an industry that, for all of the international recognition and for all of the passion, you're not suddenly plucked out of your seat and kind of like thrown into the lofty skies of international movie Marvel fame or whatever.
It's very approachable to the average person, which is really nice coming into the industry and seeing all of these people and networking with people and being like, oh, actually, these genuinely are all people like me. Like you said, I can imagine these people standing in line at a Greg's. I can't imagine, Jennifer Aniston doing that, for example. Like, someone else is going to be standing in that line for her, or whatever the equivalent to Greg's is in LA, Yeah, and it is really nice knowing that these people are so beloved by the communities that they're in as well. Like, I can't think of a more passionate, and I'm, with all of the baggage that entails, a more passionate fandom than Final Fantasy, for example. But I have never heard of anyone, actively bothering the voice actors because they know they're people too. Like, everyone seems to be on a really nice, similar wavelength, and seeing the actual actors themselves, like Ben, who is, as we all know, a really big Final Fantasy fan too, come in from the other side with exactly the same outlook as well, has been really nice and really refreshing, I find.
Yeah, it's approachable as well, because we've spoken to Ben a few times. And
he's a nutcase. Love him to bits. He's an absolute nutcase.
He's definitely a nutcase. I think I've said this before, maybe on the podcast actually, that it's impossible to fake being a game fan. I've had some experiences of, I used to be in a band years ago. I was never successful or anything like that. And there are experiences where people will make up the music they're into, or go, I really like that album by so-and-so. And it's like, do you really like it? Or are you just saying that to try and get yourself in a sort of like an opportunity? Whereas in games, if someone doesn't understand what a dexterity check is or something like that, then it becomes immediately apparent they are making it up. I guess, I don't know if you've got an opinion on that at all.
So one thing I am aware of in games is that there are people coming into this space and they think that this is where the money opportunities are, right? Like they hear about an indie game. Let's one's just come out on Thursday, for example, that I'm sure is doing absolute financial gangbusters. You mean
the one that broke the internet? Oh yeah.
I will imminently go back to playing once all of my responsibilities are done with today. There are very few games that I will actually make an effort to play when I only have 25 minutes to spare. I did that this morning. I think people do see this industry as like something that it's something it's not, or at least we in the industry and we near the industry don't see that. But people do see this industry as making a lot of money or lots of opportunity, and able to kind of leverage the fact that there is so much passion in this industry. And they want to turn that into financial opportunity. And those people certainly have a certain way about them where you can just tell that they're not enthused when a relatively small indie game gets announced, right? Because they don't see the $1 million signs in their eyes. They don't understand why people are passionate for this tiny indie little rhythm game or this sequel.
Yeah, the value isn't the money. The value is what the fans get out of what's being put into it.
So if you can kind of sense that if someone isn't sparked by those smaller titles or those more niche kind of franchises, or they're not at all kind of, I don't know, emotionally leveraged by other people's passion for these games, then yeah, they do leave a bit of a stink behind them, I think.
That's a really interesting way of looking at it. I like that. It's impossible to hide, isn't it? You're not one of us. Yeah, I guess it's.
So I think that's a good place to ask the most important question we'll probably ask all day in that case. How did you first get exposed to games? Was this something like from childhood? Is this something in like teenagehood? What was the first game, console, etc.?
Like, I think one of my earliest memories is I lived in quite a lot of places when I was a kid. In one of the towns I lived in, I remember like a neighbor having a Nintendo 64 and like maybe like a Donkey Kong game or something on there. Like it's a
start.
really vague memory. And then where it gets stronger is in 2 points. One is a PlayStation 1 with Casper the Ghost,
Oh,
or
wow.
like a Casper the Ghost game. And then where it's stronger for me is having a Game Boy with Pokemon Yellow.
Of course.
And I lived
Yeah.
in South Africa. And it's less that I remember playing the game, and it's more that I remember looking in my locker one day and finding the game gone. And the Game Boy gone.
No!
And the trauma of having Pokemon and Game Boy stolen, while I was in school.
It never really leaves you, does it? Jonas, when's your birthday? I'll get you Pokemon Yellow on a Game Boy.
Excellent stuff. Thank you so much. That will repair all the childhood trauma, I'm sure. No, but then one of the reasons, so gaming really kind of got strengthened in my life because of a little business called Rest in Peace Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I groomed myself into working at Blockbuster when I was 18 because I wouldn't stop hanging out there. And I wouldn't stop getting begging for free rentals and putting the boxes back out on the shelves when I was a teenager.
This is before you had the job.
This is before I had the job. I think I started doing this when I was like 12 or 13. But what that meant was I was able to try games for free. I was able to, with no financial risk, take a game home, plug it in, play it, and take it home 2 days later. And I was just able to do that a dozen times a month, until eventually I found that I was the only person I knew who was playing all of these things. And Final Fantasy chief amongst them.
Yes.
Yeah, RIP Blockbuster as well. I do remember being quite young and my dad rented the PlayStation 1 title Xena the Warrior Princess for me, which I absolutely loved. And then about 2 years later, when I got really sick with chickenpox, I just remember lying in bed and my parents were like, "We feel so bad that you're ill. Can we get you something? Like, we're going to go to Blockbusters and get you a game. We're going to buy you a game, not rent it, buy you a game." And I was like, "Can I have Xena, please?" They didn't have Xena at Blockbusters. They came back with Creatures, and I fucking hated Creatures. It gave me nightmares.
I think I need to buy you Xena Warrior Princess for your birthday, Mol. There we
birthday,
go. We
yeah.
just need to get rid of the childhood trauma there. Let's all just do a game swap. But a question: you said you worked at Blockbusters. Do you have a lanyard that you've kept?
No, I never had a lanyard. I just had the little. I had a pin badge, like a proper little badge.
Oh, right.
In the t-shirt.
That'll do. That's fabulous.
Now I don't know if I still have that in a shoebox somewhere. Something I did keep for ages, when my Blockbuster closed down, obviously everything got sold and thrown away, I kept Blockbuster branded tape that had the Blockbuster logo all the way around it.
Oh, right.
I don't know if I still have that, because
That'd be amazing.
I hope I do, but I think I actually used it when drinking with friends who used to work with me at Blockbuster, and we did Wizard Staff with our cans. And so
That's the only appropriate use for it, I
and
think.
we taped up all the cans using the Blockbuster tape.
That's as good a story as showing it off. That's fabulous. I like that.
I prefer that one, actually, yeah.
I'm sure I've told the story on this podcast before about how, not quite with games, but I remember there were a few videos. One in particular was Roald Dahl's Revolting Rhymes, right, on VHS. For everyone that doesn't know what VHS is, why you're listening. Basically, what I remember renting it from Blockbuster on a Friday, because they had used to have a 3-movie deal, so you could rent one thing. And what used to happen is my parents would rent something, my sister would get something, and I would get something. So it would be that kind of thing. And I remember renting Roald Dahl's Revolting Rhymes, taking it back to the shop halfway through, not rewinding it because I was a sinner, and then coming back a month later, getting the same video, and it was in exactly the same place. So I remember that feeling of I'm the only person that's into this. Came through that, thinking, hang on a minute, no one else has rented this video in months. And at the time, as a kid, I guess I thought, everyone's buying this, everyone wants to. I need to get this video before everyone else does. But actually, you look back and it's like, no, it's just you.
So what I'm hearing is that Blockbuster was the first gacha system with FOMO.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's all because of Blockbuster. It all stems from that. But I do like that story about the tape. That's great.
So when we were doing our research about you, Jonas, one of the things that really struck out for me is that you've technically only really gotten into the games industry and adjacent side of it relatively recently. Obviously, Blockbuster notwithstanding, I feel like that was probably step one. But then you took a step aside, I think, to do you've said hospitality work and then work in the IT sector as well. What took you away from that and got you into games?
Yeah, I got a promotion at the University of Oxford, so I jumped up quite a few grades in my job, which is obviously massive and really good for finances and security. And I started working on all this Microsoft Azure databases and pipelines and technology and things like that. And I was learning a lot while doing it. And I just kind of remember, like, I was fixing stuff and repairing databases and finding, like, nobody cares when you do that. Nobody cares when you fix a broken database. Nobody cares when you make a small improvement to, like, like a university webpage or something, right? I had been producing an improv comedy company for 5 years as a voluntary thing, like a sort of a hobby, whatever, side thing. And I'd stopped doing that because I sort of, I stepped down, let someone else produce, and I let the company get on with it. And I was missing working with creatives. I wanted to find people who were passionate about what they were working on, and actually, like, if you did something, people would care. People would have, like, I wanted people to have, like, an emotional attachment to the thing that I was helping with. And then, believe it or not, I'm at work, I'm browsing rest in peace Twitter, and something just appears on my feed called Limit Break, and it says, "Are you a person of color? Would you like a mentor in the games industry?" Like, that's basically what I took away from it. And I went, I don't know what that means, but I want it. I really want it. I think I'd always, like, laughed at the idea of a career in games, because I thought, no, I play games, I don't make games, and I don't know how to make games, and I've never learned how to make games. So I didn't study it, why would I do it? I'm not in the arts. But then Limit Break came along, and I applied, and then I found that I was accepted within, a couple of days. And then I just had this catalogue of games professionals at my fingertips who could tell me more about the industry, and they could help me understand how I could apply my skills to the industry. And then, fast forward like 2 months, and I'm having meetings with producers who are telling me, like, right, Jonas, you're technical, but your communication skills are really strong, but you know how to work with creative people as well. And you know how to, like, you're very good at taking kind of someone else's problem and, like, flow charting success, or flow charting, like, a path through a problem. You sound like a producer. That's what you should look into, is producing, and told that, like, a lot of people do start as community managers, or people start in QA and things like that. And these are the jobs and the roles and the things you should be looking out for. And so I stayed at the University of Oxford for like another 1.5 or 2 years, while networking, while coming to events, while taking on, like, voluntary work, while trying to while becoming parts of communities, like entering Discord servers that are to do with the games industry, and then learning that there's a meetup in London on a Friday, and just doing that for a whole 1.5 years, until eventually I gave my card to someone. They saw that I was a dungeon master, a professional dungeon master, because that's one of the things I've done. And then he hired me for a one-shot, and then said, "Hey, we've got some work in this, this is a games company, we've got some work. Can you help us? Can you jump in and do some work?" And then that just turned into a job 6 months later, and that turned into everything that I do now a year later.
That's really cool, actually. Like, doing this podcast and, like, getting to speak to people, one of the biggest things that Jack and I continually text each other about is just like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, how the hell did we get to this point in life? And I think one of the biggest things that I keep taking away, just in my general life anyway, is, like, the time is gonna pass, you might as well do something with it, but, like, fuck me if it's not weird for the time to have passed and for something to have come with it anyway. I know there was I don't know if it was an entire talk that you gave. It was a short introduction of yourself anyway for Ensemble Games 2025 in London. And there was a short quote that I really, really resonated with that you said in your introduction. It was along the lines of, like, I didn't try to get into games until I was 29, 30 because I didn't know my skill set could be used there. And that hit so succinctly. I'm also doing the Limit Break stuff now, and I felt exactly the same way. It was Jack that gave me the push to, like, look, apply, see where it takes you, whatever. And it's like, okay, I have nothing to lose with trying. That's cool. But also, what the hell can I do? I've done retail jobs. I've done customer support. That's kind of the extent. I can't do shit with that. And then it turns out that actually there are other skills that I've picked up along the way. And just because they're not vocational doesn't mean they're not worth talking about or expanding upon or whatever. And, like, I'm in my 30s now, and to realise that I still have so much to learn is a bit overwhelming sometimes, but, like, unfortunately, that's life. So, yeah, it was just really nice to know that other people feel like that. Honestly, anytime that I ever hear other people having the same problems as me, I'm like, yes, I'm not alone.
It's a more and more common thing I'm finding when I'm seeing, because I really love that. It's great. I mean, I've had similar feelings as well, because I've really wanted to get into this industry in some way since, well, I've always, what you described about, the Blockbuster stuff, some of that stuff you described there, I have similar experiences of like, oh, no one else is playing this, no one else is into that, and I want to find my tribe, essentially. But I think in 2019, the big thing for me was when I went to EGX and thought, oh my God, they're here. And of course, then COVID happened and messed everyone up. But I think there's more and more stories I'm seeing of people that have that similar experience. And it's really good that you mentioned Dungeons and Dragons there, I've been a DM, because obviously that's blown up in a different way over the last few years, in a good way. I played Dungeons and Dragons back when I was 18, 19, and I told the story before with a not so brilliant group of people. Loved the game, didn't like the people I was playing with, so was put off it and thought, well, when is this ever going to help me later in life? But now I'm kind of in a way, and I don't want to put words in anyone else's mouth, but I went to an event recently, World's Lair in London, which is like a Dungeons and Dragons event, which was fantastic. And there's a whole bunch of people there that had similar experiences. If I really like this game, I just don't like the people I'm playing it with. And now we've all found each other in a sort of sense, which I think is like, it's almost like waking up some of the stuff that I guess as a kid I felt maybe I'm wasting my time doing this. It's never going to lead to any social or job opportunities, but actually they have, which is, I think, actually kind of like, I feel sometimes like I'm sort of looking back on past me from 15, 20 years ago and sort of giving them a bit of a tap on the shoulder saying it ended up okay. You know what I mean? I don't know if you have a similar experience or anything.
Like, but, one of the things I really find quite humbling about what I do at the moment is, so the games industry is hard to get into. It just is. Like, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of passion, there's not enough full-time paid jobs that will hire those people that haven't already like shipped 10 million games. And there's, there are some good reasons for that, right? Games are a really big financial risk, and sometimes you are a small company and you can't afford to take that risk on someone that doesn't know what they're doing for 6 months. You need someone who can come in and just make the game profitable ASAP. I completely understand that. But how to say, there are a lot of people that will try to get into this industry with a CV and a cover letter and the traditional method of just apply. But ultimately, what I have found has worked for me. This will not work for everybody. What has worked for me is I spend loads of my energy meeting people. I just love going to events. I love meeting people. I have an infinite social battery. There are conditions, but I find that I do not get drained socially by people, especially when they are my tribe. And I will happily expend time, energy, and money to do fun things with fun people. And that has made my career. Every job I have done in the games industry has been because I have spent time with people in spaces of my own free will, my own free time, and then that has turned into a real relationship, a real connection, and then that person has trusted me with a responsibility or recommended me for a project in some way. So I have managed to work in this industry, and believe me, I've applied for a lot of jobs. I haven't got any job I've applied for. I've been offered roles and opportunities and responsibilities off the back of me spending my time meeting people and getting to know people. And that is power to, like, sometimes what you do in your free time can be worth it. Like, it's not a waste of time to play games and meet people and have fun. Obviously, don't do that and aim for a career at the same time, but, one can lead to the other, and it can be happenstance, and it can be like a happy accident.
Yeah, that completely lines up with something I was told recently by a long-standing member of the games industry development side of stuff as well, where I think he said pretty much outright, like, look, you need to network, you need to speak to people, you just have to, it's non-negotiable, and if you don't do that, you won't get a job. So, if that's not your kind of thing, maybe think of a different career. So, 100% agree with you. And the few events that I have gone to, thank you, Jack, for dragging me along to things, have been really eye-opening, and learning that it's not just talking to people and schmoozing, for lack of a better word, and being like, hey, what can you offer me? No, it genuinely is, I want to talk to people, I want to go in with the mindset of making friends, that's been more important than anything else I found so far, which is really cool. It's nice to know that you can just go and talk to people and be like, hey, want a vibe?
Yeah,
like, that works,
100%.
apparently. So, obviously, your games industry adjacent rather than, like, game development stuff. Is the development side of stuff the kind of thing that you want to eventually get into, or is community management where you're happiest?
I can't help but like be curious for what I don't know. I think this is one of the things that drives me is really well, is that if I haven't done something, I really want to do it, and I want to know if I'd be good at it, and I want to experience everything at the buffet table, so to speak. But I came into this industry really passionate about producing, and in particular, I came in, and I still have this ethos, but I kind of came into the industry really upset that people like make my favorite games and then they go home and they get crunched and they don't want to go to work and their mental health gets like absolutely thrown in the bin. You know, if I play like one of my favorite games of the year and then I find out that that development team like all absolutely needed years of therapy and like they just couldn't have a good time during that project, that upsets me, that there's that dichotomy between what I experienced and what they experienced.
Yeah.
And so I've come into this industry with an ethos that I really want to be not just a force for good in the industry, but like I would like to help an individual or a team have a positive experience during work with their career. And obviously there are certain things that are really hard to fight against, like a company's policies and things like that, and when they instate like the work from, you know, return to office policies and all these things. But I'd like to be a producer, or I'd like to be a genuine barrier and a voice for good against negative working practices for a team. So I'd either like to work in a small team and I'd like to advocate for good mental health and barriers and practices and communications and build pipelines in place that allow for better catching of problems so that they're not a surprise to people when they come up and people aren't having to press the alarm bells and things like that. Good communication between different individuals so that they're just like people are actually on the same page about certain things. And like from my hospitality days, I'm a really big believer in like managing expectations is just one of the most powerful tools anyone can have on their belt, where if you tell people, sometimes you tell people what to expect and that's what you need to do. Sometimes you tell people that things are going to take longer than they actually are going to take because you know that there are going to be certain things that you can't control. Sometimes you tell people, you know, sometimes you tell people too much, sometimes you tell people too little, but there are places that you can and should do all of those things to protect people, to ensure the best possible working environment, to ensure happiness, to ensure that like everyone is getting exactly what they are expecting, or you are going to deliver exactly what you said you are going to deliver, etc. And just try and build a unit, like an environment where people know what's going to happen and it's fair and it's just, and that everyone can be given options or given the right to refuse and things like that. And yeah, so I just really want to create an environment where those communication skills let people have a nicer time, potentially. And that would be in a development environment like that. That is where I imagine those skills would come in handy.
I mean, from all the stories that we hear coming out of the industry in general, I think that kind of mindset is really necessary and, like, really admirable as well. Not just, I want to make stuff, but, like, I want to protect other people while they make stuff. Like, that's genuinely really cool.
And the thing is people, if people are comfortable in their environment, then they will gravitate towards that a bit more. It's kind of an unnecessary. You mentioned a dichotomy there. It's an unnecessary dichotomy. I understand that crunch can happen in any job. It's never going to be perfect. Even, you know, personal life things you choose to do in personal life it's never perfect. But I think we've kind of slipped into this culture of some of the stresses that are unnecessary have become, you know, this sort of expectation, which I think it's nice to hear that you're, you know, on the path to try and get rid of that stuff.
I know it's lofty, and I know that a lot of it can crumble in the face of like finances and timelines and big business and publishers and investors and stakeholders. And I know that different personalities in a team and different leaders, I know all of these things are fuel for the fire, but I'd rather walk into the room with flame retardant clothing, not just for myself, but for other people, and a flamethrower in hand. A flamethrower? No, fire extinguisher. An extinguisher. The opposite one. The opposite one.
Getting mixed messages here, Jonas.
Yeah.
And on that note,
We'll get to Final Fantasy in a bit and fire magic and stuff. I cast a blizzard spell of the darkness. Okay, we'll take a short break and be back in a little bit. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back after that short break. I guess, yeah, this is the section of the podcast where we talk more about Final Fantasy. So
the fun bit.
It was fun before, but this is the
This is what we really got you on for, Jonas.
yeah. So I guess the first question is introduction to Final Fantasy. What was it, and what's your favourite one?
So I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but it was having a PlayStation 2 in the house, going to Blockbuster and picking up all of these games without any knowledge of what they are, no social media to tell me what to play, no influence whatsoever. And then I think I just played this one random game. We now all know it as Final Fantasy X.
A little indie game. Never heard of that studio before, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I had heard of Final Fantasy VII. Like, I'd heard maybe, like, references to Cloud and Sephiroth and One Winged Angel and things like that. I'd heard very little about 8 and 9 at the time, and actually, to this day, I still haven't played them. One of my big sins. I know, I'm a sinner. I'm really bad at going back to things after their time, if that makes sense.
Well, that's what we're good at, so we can help you with that if you want.
Great. No, it's one of my big sins, and it goes across to TV and film as well. So Final Fantasy X was my first one, and I remember I first played it on PlayStation. I know that I never finished it the first time I played it. I know that I got a certain distance in. I think I got to the airship and being able to free roam.
Okay.
But I think I never defeated the final boss. And I think I didn't actually finish Final Fantasy X until I was an adult, and I replayed it, and then I finished it. So I think I've since...
I think we've all done that in some form or another, though.
Yeah, and obviously, like, you know, teenager Jonas renting games from Blockbuster, I actually think I have more games on my played but unfinished pile than most.
I don't know if you got more than most. I think that's pretty much a refreshing perspective of what I've got.
Oh yeah, Mr. Collects old games. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, well, I've got them, but I don't beat them all. Like, imagine if I beat all the games I'd have to have, like, I don't know, the hyperbolic time chamber. There we go. That's a random Dragon Ball Z reference there that people might get. I need time to slow down. So there we go. Yeah, I meant yeah. Brilliant.
So 10 was your first then, and you haven't gone back to the earlier games. Did you say that you'd played 7, or is that also one that's escaped you?
No, so I have played original 7 up until the Golden Saucer.
Okay.
I have completed both of the modern remakes of 7. I watched Advent Children on repeat as a child with no idea.
Yes.
Again, it's a cool movie, but boy did I not know who half of these characters were.
I actually had the chance to rewatch Advent Children, I think about a year ago, with a group of people, 2 of whom had, like, no interest in the Final Fantasy series at all, and, like, the rest of us are getting, like, really hype, and, like, yeah, this is really, really cool, oh my god, it's Kadaj, it's Sephiroth, and I just remember at, like, multiple points, these 2 people being like, what the fuck is going on? Like, they had no idea.
I remember, like, everyone losing their shit about this guy in a wheelchair, and I was like, who is this guy? There's nobody.
I mean, woo, disabled rep, but, like, who the fuck?
Yeah. Only the president of goddamn... Yeah, so... I have, I think in the last 2 or 3 years, played Final Fantasy VI, because I'd heard so many high and positive things about, you know, the story and things like that, that I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a good shot. And then Tactics Advance as well. That's another one that I played in those earlier days, and I hold very fondly, even though I haven't replayed it since I was a teenager. So a lot of my memory.
Well, who's got the time to be replaying stuff when all these new titles keep coming out as well?
Who would have the time to replay stuff?
Yeah, definitely not us. Okay, so the games before 10, a little bit neglected. What about after 10? Because I know you've played more of those ones.
I have played... I was about to say every. Let me just check that. So 10, 2, skipped 11. 12, but the remake that they did, or the re-release, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
13 and 13-2, but did not finish 13 Lightning Returns. 14, all the way up to Dawn Trail, big fan. Currently getting emails about how my house is going to be demolished if I don't log in the next 4 days.
Oh no, another one.
Yeah, I'm on a break at the moment, and now they're threatening me. And 15, 16.
Okay, no, I think that's pretty much most of, if not all of, the mainline titles since 10. I'd say you've got rep there.
I think that the fact that you've gone for 6 of the sort of pre-10 Final Fantasies, it's probably... In fact, actually, what did you think of 6? Because we think it's great.
What Jack says next hinges on what your verdict was.
I enjoyed 6 a lot. What I found really interesting is that there are moments in that game that are really highly celebrated by audiences, and I know through memes. And then you play the game and they're actually really understated. For example, the game does not tell you that you can suplex the train. But everybody
does it?
Everybody talks about suplexing the train.
You've got to suplex the train.
I want to go back in time like 25 years and be like, did we all just individually learn how to do that?
I
Or was
think
there like
so.
word of mouth? Because that's insane to consider.
It's also one of the best moves that you can access at that point, I think. So
Yep.
I was quite happy with it. No, I enjoyed it. I didn't see certain things coming. Like for all these years later, but I actually don't know how these games are going to play out. And so there were still moments in the story that really kind of surprised me. There were still some really lovely bits of writing and characterization that when you play something older and you're like, oh, actually, I'm quite pleased to see that theme or that topic enter a piece of conversation way back when.
Anything in particular that jumps to mind with 6?
There is, I want to say, I'm probably going to flag on character names, but there's Cecil, I think, who's sort of the... Cecil?
That's 4.
Cecil? No, okay, it's not 4. Who is not Terra, I think there are 2 women in the game.
Sellies.
Yeah, it's all right. You're in good company, Jonas. I'm forever forgetting names. Honestly, it's not a problem. Celeste or Celeste. Yes.
Celeste, that's what I think her name is. And then there's a bit in the story where she considers suicide, and I thought that was quite a stark and sort of quite a real and sort of harrowing moment. And these Final Fantasy games do have those do have characters they've been through shit, and they are really, really put against a sort of a cliff's edge, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's just, I was quite surprised that a game that feels so... I mean, they all have a certain level of whimsy and magicalness and a certain level of delight and, silliness. And I think, that was one moment that kind of surprised me in amongst it all. Especially because her character doesn't... I think this is true for a lot of the earlier Final Fantasy games, where you either have characters where all the writing is on them, or not a lot at all of writing is on them.
There's a lot of that in 6 in particular as well. I think about half the cast is like, who? Why do I care?
So it's one of the few moments where she kind of gets a chance to have a story of her own and a moment of her own. And that really delighted.
That's cool. I'm assuming then, since it was your first, and this tends to be true of most people that I speak to, I'm assuming that 10 is your favourite overall.
It is. It really sticks with me. There are very few games that I will unapologetically love despite the flaws. That said, can I just name drop Star Ocean Till the End of Time?
I was wondering if you were going to bring this up or not.
That is a problematic game. As in, not problematic, sorry, but that is a game that is not perfect. But oh boy, did I experience it as a teenager, and I refuse to hate it. I refuse.
See, I've never played a Star Ocean game. What's the vibe with those? Are they sci-fi? Are they fantasy? Are they sci-fantasy?
What will normally happens is you will start off in some kind of galactic context, so you'll get to see some spaceships and some cool space dudes, and then normally a character will crash land or be stranded on a planet that uses magic and not technology.
Man, I hate when that happens. Am I right, guys?
So you normally get this fusion of high tech and high fantasy magic.
Right.
And then
That's cool.
Normally the games will actually feature several planets and several civilizations, but the magic of that initial planet or the main planet will normally carry on throughout the story. Honestly, often there is a character who is some kind of DNA bio god or something, because
Oh, we've all got one in the group.
So there's a few themes in Star Ocean games, but it's cool that you'll normally have a game where someone is like a robot and another person is like a geomancer, and like they're teaming up.
That we're back to D&D, aren't we? That sounds amazing.
It does,
I've got the page open for Star Ocean to the End of the Time, which I believe I actually own, but I've never played, as with a lot of my games. And it says here one of the major influences of the design was Star Trek, which is like, wow, okay, that's really interesting.
For a fantasy game, that's
I
pretty
can see certain elements because they the world has this whole thing of like, oh no, this is a grade 2 civilization planet. We're not allowed to make ourselves known as a higher species from space. So we have to pretend that we are not from space because this planet has not evolved that far. They don't know that space exists. They think that there are trees and there is God, and you know what I mean. Like, this is a common Star Trek trope of the something directive.
Yeah.
And so yes, you land on these planets, and everyone goes, "Ah, hello, traveler. Tell me, where did you get that battery-powered lightsaber from?" And you're like, "What? This? It's
Oh no, it's
from the isolated foreign kingdom of shut the hell up."
Oh my god, that's amazing. Something something tells me you like anime. Just looking at this file. You're in good company, by the way.
Yeah, watching Dan to Dan, watching Kaiju number 8, watching caught up with the One Piece manga last week.
Oh my god, I didn't think that was physically possible.
Yeah, shout out to the 4,000 hours of my life I'll never get back. Yeah, big anime fan over here. I have a Dragon Ball tattoo on the leg. If I could have flashed it when you mentioned hyperbolic time chamber, I would have.
Yeah, I did say I had to. Yeah, in fact, it's the first guest we've had where I've actually mentioned Dragon Ball Z and people haven't just groaned. So that's really
People,
good.
you mean me?
Yeah,
just
you.
say
Sorry,
my
yeah,
name,
sorry,
Jack.
yeah. I didn't want to project on you too much there. But what's the tattoo of Dragon Ball first before we move on?
So Dragon Ball tattoo on the leg is when Goku and Piccolo learn to drive. They do their driving test.
Oh my
one of the,
god!
comedy
Yeah.
episodes that they have, like after they beat the Raditz and things like that. Yeah, when the year that Toriyama died, I really felt sad that I hadn't somehow, like, I don't know, integrated Dragon Ball more into my life, because it is such a big part of my growing up, especially the games as well. That's a whole other topic. But
Another
that's
podcast.
a new
That.
podcast. Yeah, no, I went and got myself a little tattoo of Goku and Piccolo driving, because it's such a brilliant moment of levity in what is otherwise punchy teleport beams.
No, that's really cool. I remember when we met at Develop 2025, because I was wearing a FF6 t-shirt, so this can't have been like too long after you finished 6th then probably, and you were like, oh my god, Final Fantasy, which is how we met and set this all up. And this was when I learned that you were at the Final Fantasy Union quiz, and I didn't realise just how tall you were until I saw you in real life. I was also sitting down, for the listeners, I'm not just really, really tiny. But when I was like, oh my god, I should have, like, known, and then you were like, yeah, I've got a tattoo and everything. It's fucking awesome, by the way. I've not stopped thinking about that since.
Yeah, so little Cactuar on my right hand arm, in the Cactuar pose, but he's wearing a Dragoon helmet and holding a Dragoon spear, because that was the class I play in Final Fantasy XIV.
That was going to be my follow-up question. Jonas, you and I are kindred.
So it's interesting. You've bonded with both of us for separate things. Me for Dragon Ball Z, and more for the Final Fantasy XIV obsession, which I've not been suckered into yet. Because I'm still like la 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 la. Because I'm obsessive.
You also just don't have time for it.
No,
Like,
I don't have
I'm
time.
telling you don't have time.
Yeah, that's it. Don't do it, Jack. Don't.
Okay, so that's a good place, I think, to jump on. 14, when did you get involved with that?
So I am a big fan of Nier Automata.
Yes, good company.
You know, brought tears to my eyes, fell in love with the music, got, like really, really into it. And then, I don't know, like there was this weird tweet or post on the internet that like this game called Final Fantasy XIV, whatever the fuck that is, was going to have
Small indie company again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, was going to have a collaboration with my nearest and dearest best friend, Nier Automata. And I've been listening to a couple of podcasters for years, and some of them are Final Fantasy XIV players, so they talk about it all the time.
Yeah, that is notoriously all we fucking do. We only talk about 14.
It's powerful. And so me and a couple of friends actually decided to get into it at the same time. They are less Final Fantasy fans than I am. They'll try a bit of anything, really.
Yeah.
But they all started, and I was the only one left by the time, Heavensward was started. I was like, where are you guys?
Wow, didn't even make it to Heavensward.
No, so I pursued. So I got in somewhere before Endwalker, when Shadowbringers was coming out. So that's about 2018-ish, I think.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, might have been early 2019, I can't remember. But then I kept playing it, and I played that Nier content. It was fine. And
yeah, fine really is the only word you can say about it, isn't it?
I was happy to have more Nier music, full stop.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Have you been to any of their live concerts, the Nier concerts? Because they're fantastic.
I've never been to a Nier one. No, I've been to plenty of the Final Fantasy ones though.
Yeah, but no, I went to a Nier one in Paris. I flew to Paris to go to the Nier one. It was
You
fantastic.
bastard, you've never told me about this before.
Yeah, no, I went to Paris. I think it was just before we met, actually. Or it may have been. It was just literally like Final Fantasy Union pub quiz was February 2024. I think that the thing was just after that or just before it. So, yeah, of course, at the end when Yoko Taro came out and started doing his spiel, it was translated into French, so I couldn't understand a word he was saying. Occasionally, a word came out, and I was just like, well, okay, well, this is just exactly a bit of fun, but fabulous music. Yeah, in a way, I mean, I think the Nier games, there's not as many of them, so they're not as encompassing, but I think they have a similar sort of all-encompassing the game and the music and everything together, like Final Fantasy does, is sort of something you just get sucked in, don't you? Like, I'm gonna listen to this whole soundtrack on repeat for the rest of my life.
There's one song at the end of Nier Automata. It's called "Weight of the World."
Oh,
and,
don't! I'm gonna cry.
Like, its lyrics are in fake French, Japanese, and English, or like it's in 3 different languages or something. And it's just, I've got a little music box as well that plays "Weight of the World."
Oh.
And obviously
wow.
they do a collaboration with Final Fantasy 14 where they do the Final Fantasy Prelude with basically Weight
God.
of the World. And it's just, all of this comes together to just, it just brings me to my knees every time. And I just get really existential and melancholic for like a whole half an hour inexplicitly. And sometimes it's a really nice palate cleanser. Like sometimes you just like...
You just need to be a bit, like, morose for a time, don't you?
You just want to remember what the ground feels like sometimes, you know?
Yes.
So bring yourself down. Listen to some emotional music, touch emotional grass, and then you're like, okay, right.
Get on with my life again now.
There we go.
So is Automata the only Nier game that you've played then?
I started the remake of the first game.
Yes.
Replicant,
thank you. I didn't get very far in it. I think I don't know, I just kind of context switched into another game or ran out of time.
Yeah, completely fair.
I would like to play more of them. It's just life.
Time, yeah.
That's another one. That's the soundtrack. And I've actually never finished Automata, but I've finished Replicant. And an experience. And of course, that's the soundtrack as well. Hills of Radiant Wind that plays on like the world map music, for want of a better thing, is... That's just an absolute, I don't know what you'd call it. It's just...
Between
it
them, Amy Evans and Janique Nicole are just goddesses. Beautiful lyricists.
This is the first time we've really gone into Nier, isn't it? Oh my god, like what have we done? We've the best tangents ever. We love it.
Back to Final Fantasy then. 10, since this is your favourite. Let's focus on 10. Favourite character, go.
I am thinking about it a bit too much. Is it Auron? It might be Auron. It might be, but it might not be, but it might be.
Ooh, controversial.
Enough. Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, I like the clowniness of Waka a lot. And the John DiMaggio of it all. And I like how, he's Jamaican coded, but he ends up he's such a good brother. He's such a good best friend brother to Tida's mentor in all those ways and things like that, and I really appreciate that. But Auron just has something so deep and harrowing about what he's going through the whole time in that story that you don't know about until you know. He is such a wounded soldier and such a wounded soul, and the moments of levity where he kind of lets himself enjoy stuff for moments. On a second viewing, it's really heartbreaking just who that man is and what he goes through. I'm also a big fan of Video Games Worst Dad of the Year Jacked, because he wears a really cool J logo on his trousers and on his shirt and whatever.
He has a cool outfit, that man. I wish I could pull that off.
So fucking cool for being a shit dad. Because he's got the J logo and my name is Jonas, I got really how people got obsessed with the shitty S when you're a teenager, you draw that
yes, oh my god, yes.
The S. I drew the edgy J. I was obsessed with Ject J.
I love that for you, honestly. Please tell me that you still are secretly just a little bit obsessed.
I have earrings.
I'll make you a shirt with the Jonas J on it. It's not the Jack J anymore, it's the Jonas J.
I have earrings of that J.
Yes!
I
yes!
wear them
That's amazing.
frequently, and no one knows what they are. I also have earrings of Brotherhood, the sword.
We do.
Of Brotherhood as well. Oh, that's cool. See, I think I got a little like metal replica of Brotherhood somewhere kicking around. I had to keep that in the box because the jagged edge just kept getting caught and everything.
What do we mean by Brotherhood? Because that to me, and
The
this
sword.
Oh, I see. I was thinking of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is
That's it. Again, different podcast.
Yeah, it's a different podcast. Yeah, I'm going to try and bully Mol into watching that because it has to be done. Like,
Get me 10 more hours in the day and I'll get around to it.
10 more hours, more like 400 more hours to watch that. Got to be done though.
Okay, yeah, no, Oren's a good choice. I'll go with you on, like, yeah, Jekt's outfit is cool, but character, not so much.
He's good to hate, I think. He is the worst. I mean, like, of all the bad parents in Final Fantasy, he is the worst, surely.
He's yeah, obviously, terrible parent. He's also, like, I'll be honest, he's a bit of a lackluster final boss, like, villain, because Seymour. Like, I'm sorry, but this game builds up such an amazing villain in Seymour. And that this is the man you grow to hate. You love to hate, and you hate to love. But ultimately, he ends up just being like a repetitive roadblock. In a boy's like quest to kill a whale. Like that's.
The modern Moby Dick, ladies and gentlemen.
All Tidus wants to do is kill a whale, and Seymour just keeps popping up and cucking and doing whatever he likes to do, and it's just. He's got better music, he's got better style, he's got better flair. He really does.
I'll fight you on the style thing. I don't think Seymour has better style than Jak does.
He's got a Yu-Gi-Oh haircut. Is kind of
that's
right,
it. That's what's appealed to you, Jonas. He does have a Yu-Gi-Oh haircut, doesn't he? I think I also said that he reminds me. The voice acting of his performance reminds me a bit of him from the Powerpuff Girls. I thought it goes from that sort of very feminine, high voice falsetto to sort of being that deep, masculine sort of thing, which I vibe with. I think it's fantastic.
The Lady Yuna.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't realise Seymour was on the call.
And then I'm going to speak really aggressively when I transform. It's like, oh my god, it's Seymour.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I do think Seymour is the better, more compelling villain overall, although Jekt is one of those villains that's like... I feel like he's necessary to be there for Tidus' arc to come to completion by the end of it, I suppose. But I still don't think either of them are like my all-time Final Fantasy villain either. They just don't completely fill that role for me.
Without spoiling Final Fantasy VIII too much for you, because I'm sure you will play it at some point, Jonas. We've talked about before on the podcast how essentially Final Fantasy X was in some ways a bit of a redo of that kind of generational passing of the torch thing. And we've said, I mean, Final Fantasy VIII is my favourite game ever, but I think that part of it's done better in Final Fantasy X. So if you eventually do play 8, you'll probably be able to see the comparisons, and you might get a different vibe about it, I guess, in some ways. It'd be interesting to hear.
He's just trying to plant this seed in your head.
You've got to play Final Fantasy VIII. You've got to play Final but no, I do agree, because I confess, I only beat Final Fantasy X this year. I'd played bits of it before. I think I've told the story before, but I didn't have a PS2 for ages, and I cried in Asda when Final Fantasy X was on PS2 because I only had a PS1. And then I eventually played Final Fantasy X the first however many hours, like you said, and then I've only really recently beaten it. Got the whole thing, taken it in, thought it was brilliant. But I felt the same way about Seymour. I was like, where's he gone? Like, he's like this big, massive existential threat, and I do like that kind of the anime villain kind of basically kind of like how Sephiroth was, essentially, where Sephiroth is the main antagonist, but then becomes overworldly, and then everything else that's going on, he kind of like obliterates all the politics of everything. With Seymour, he kind of just tries to do that, and then it's like, nah, I've got to fight my dad, see you later, mate. And just it's sort of like pushed into the background, which is a little bit disappointing, considering that his final battle, I should say, with that pattern and that music probably should have been the final boss, because it's absolutely to die for, that battle, I think.
It's really good, and we were just saying how obviously you do need Jekt for like Tidus' arc, and what it ends up being is, it's a game with two protagonists, right? Yuna and Tidus, and Seymour is Yuna's villain, and Jekt is like Tidus' villain, essentially in their own ways, and they kind of complete each other as well because of the relationships between their fathers and things like that. But no, like Seymour is the one who I look forward to a rematch with that man. I look forward to his music.
He really does have the best battle music, doesn't he? Fucking
I'm hearing it in my head right now, like the little jingle.
Yeah.
I remember one of my best memories of Final Fantasy X. So, actually, no. Okay, so you asked me who my favorite character is. Scratch it all out. Fucking Yo Jimbo.
Sorry, Oron, get to fuck.
Pay him his money.
Okay.
I am such a big Yojimbo fan, really. He's so aesthetically the thing I love that I've just, I basically just built a D&D character around this man one point where it's just
Nice.
I just want one sordid, big slash, pay me my money, dressed in this very, ornate kind of purples and golds. I love Yojimbo.
He does have really cool
I love
silhouette.
I love his voice performance as well. He doesn't speak very much, but when you speak to him in the is it the cave Cavern of the Sun and
Cavern
Faith?
of the Faith.
Cavern of the Faith. You meet him at the end, and he's something about the way he talks. He's very like you just said there. Pay me. I will just directly pay me my money, and I'm only here for the money. Lol. I think it's great.
I actually don't remember that line whatsoever, so I'm going to go YouTube it after this.
Yeah, no, there's a little bit of a line when he speaks beforehand. It's just a very understated vocal performance. I think it's great.
But no, the only reason I bring up Yojimbo just to be one of my favourite memories with Seymour was you fight him on a massive mountain. He's got this new form. I summoned Yojimbo. I paid him. Yojimbo solved the problem for me in one turn.
Yes.
I remember being so blown away that I had essentially erased a boss fight in what I know was going to otherwise be a 25-minute kind of puzzle JRPG.
Yeah, it's hard, that battle.
He's got a certain mechanic and you have to understand how it interacts and you have to essentially use it against him in a certain way. And I found that was the moment that I was like, this guy, Yojimbo, ride or die.
My
ride
man.
Or die with Yojimbo, 100%.
See, my favourite part about the whole Yojimbo pay people to fuck off, pay him to make people fuck off mechanic is that it just doesn't make a comeback because it's just too fucking powerful. Like in other Final Fantasies, Yojimbo he's just not really there. It's not an option. I think they knew they fucked up a little bit with that one.
They didn't fuck up. That's amazing.
No, well, yeah. Having said that, though, at the end of Kugane Castle in Final Fantasy XIV, I imagine you had a jolly time fighting him there then.
Other than the fact that he's sometimes reduced to a bit of a comedy sidekick occasionally.
Yeah.
No, his presence in Final Fantasy XIV makes me very happy. I hope one day they let me buy his clothes so I can dress like him.
Oh god, can you imagine running around with that hat? Oh my god, that's the dream come true.
Oh, you mean in the game? I was thinking as a cosplay because that'd be really hot.
Oh,
I mean, that too.
All of the
Yeah,
above.
Yeah, fuck it.
Both at
Daily
the same
wear.
time, I'm going to do a live stream dressed as Yojimbo, playing as Yojimbo.
Playing as Yojimbo, playing as Thanks, my brain hurts now, Jack.
What have we done? But that's really cool. I like a bit of Yojimbo as well. He's cool.
Any other favourite scenes from 10 then? Or is it all just Yojimbo based now?
Blitzball, let's not pretend like the opening with Otherworld isn't one of the most hardcore, edgy teenager angst scenes of all time.
Blew my mind when I first saw that. I saw it at a friend's house. I was like, what is this?
I think I changed at a molecular level when I saw
Yeah.
I think we all did. The thing is, as well, I've seen that opening cutscene remixed so many different ways in not FMVs,
AMVs.
AMVs. That's it. With so many different early 2000s new metal bands. I know Breaking Benjamin has done stuff. I know that I've seen it with Linkin Park, System of a Down. It's all there. It just doesn't matter as long as the song goes hard. That scene works.
I think it's just Oren's going back to Oren, how brilliant he is, how relaxed he is in that environment, and how he's just sitting there with a drink, just whatever. I'm gonna just walk out on this building with this sort of water coming through. Don't even care. Yeah, marvelous. Blew my mind. I think I've mentioned there briefly about my relationship with 10 and how I didn't have a PS2 and I had to sort of watch this game around people's houses along with Metal Gear Solid 2 and just look at how amazing they were. I'm really jealous I didn't have a PS2 and this was one of those. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1 was another one as well. Well, I was like, this is just the future. What is I want the PS2, eventually got one, and all those games were just as I desired they would be when I played them myself. So
Blitzball was a very big moment for me. And I think I just really want to give a shout out as well to Anima. Again, if I wasn't such a Yojimbo stand, it would be Anima. And in particular, Anima's overdrive just goes so hard.
Yes.
Hey, listen, I'm going to suck you underground so that I can reveal that my bottom half is a chained up demon of pure physical fury. And when you get down there, it's going to break out of its chains and it's going to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Ora you to, to death.
Oh my god. Yeah, alright, you've sold me. Okay, Anima's now shot up on my favourite Aeons list.
What I like about Anima, and I think I'm trying to think if anything else in the series does this as well, is that obviously summoning magic is a massive part of Final Fantasy, particularly in 8, another plug for that. But it is obviously a huge part of the series, and it's since Final Fantasy 3 you've had summoning magic, and they are part of the marketing, and Final Fantasy 16, the whole game was based around them. But I think Final Fantasy 10, the fact that your main antagonist has his own that like rivals yours or is stronger than yours, I think that's something that's not spoken about enough, because it's like, you know, these are our powers and this is all like almost like our trump card, how we're going to beat you, and he's like, no, I've got one too. Nah.
And it's even stronger.
And it's even stronger. I think that's amazing.
It's cool. It's an ecosystem where there are other summoners, and they are summoning the same creatures as you. But Yuna has such a way with her Aeons that, like... So, this is something I can only appreciate later. But something I appreciate about Final Fantasy X is actually very few characters are canonically summoners and are portrayed as having a relationship with their summons. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So Yuna summons something and she's riding on its back, or she kind of gives them a stroke.
Yeah, strokes it, yeah.
She greets them and bows and lets them enter combat. Like, that's such a really small detail that actually makes me kind of love the Aeons more. Like, you know, sometimes she's blown away by their power. Sometimes, you know, she reveres them and kind of respects them in a way that actually I don't think you get to see in other Final Fantasy games. Because
No, definitely
you either
not.
just swap out with them, or you become them, or
Yeah.
the game cannot assume who will summon this Aeon, so therefore everyone just has a simple voice line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get him.
That was brilliant.
Sorry, that's the professional voice acting for you there.
And then we made the sound effects as well there. So it does feel very. I made this reference in Final Fantasy VIII, one of the episodes we talked about, where I said that I think Final Fantasy VIII, because it is very summon focused, it was like Pokemon for grown-ups. And in a way, Final Fantasy X is as well. It's that extension of like Ash Ketchum, because I'm not going to win the battle, but I have the power of friendship on my side. It does feel a little bit like that, doesn't it?
I feel like it also comes full circle with, like, you know, at the end of the game when you're fighting the Aeons, like, once and for all, and you're actually actively sending them away. And, you know, you see Yuna's misery at having to do so, and they talk about them like, you know, these are really, you've only been using them as a tool in battle, but like Yuna has a relationship with them, and like they actively talk about that. And that's not the only time. Like, I know in 10-2 it comes back as well. I can't remember who Yuna's speaking to, but she says like, it hurt when we had to essentially kill my Aeons. Like, I didn't want to do it, but we had to for the good of the world. Like, it's really, really powerful in a way that, yeah, other games really don't hit. Like, I think 16 almost did a similar thing in that you can see the relationships of like the dominants and how they interact with the world, but then again, once they become the actual Eidolons themselves, that kind of goes out of the window. It would be really cool to like see more of the relationships between the actual Eidolons themselves. Like, I want to know if, I don't know, Garuda and Bahamut ever flew around in the skies together. That would be cool, but you know, you don't get any of that.
DLC when?
Well,
Just playing some frisbee, you know. I mean, just where's my beach episode? With, like, yeah.
oh my god, I would love a beach episode for 16. I think that's what the franchise needs now.
Name drop another anime, it'd be like Digimon. It's like the digital world where they all fly around and the trainers are out of the digital world and they're all, yeah.
So of the more recent games then, since we're kind of on that topic, like 15, 16 and 13, do you have a favourite in that group?
I think I like them all for slightly different reasons. I think out of those three, it's 15.
Okay, that's interesting.
I don't know why. So 15 has a lot of problems and it's really limited in its own ways. 15 kind of does away. It doesn't have a very like diverse party, which is just really sad. And like, I really miss having kind of, it's one of the first games that stops having like, actually no, I think 13 as well, but it's one of those games that just doesn't have any freaks in the party anymore. Final Fantasy stops having freaks at some point, right?
Or are they all freaks in Final Fantasy 15?
Are they all freaks? Just when I say freaks, I mean like a not human, a weirdo, a thing that does not obey the rules like the other players, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, Final Fantasy X has that a little bit in like Kimari. Final Fantasy 12 has that in like it does have these other races, and it's
Fran.
a bunny girl,
Yeah.
which okay.
It also has like the banger and the sea. It's fairly diverse, just not
Within
the
12,
party.
but within the world of Final Fantasy 12, which I think that's what Tactics Advanced does amazingly, is it lets you have all the Moogles and bangers and all that in your party and things like that.
Oh right, yeah, of course, that's the whole yeah.
Same world.
I need to play that one day.
And then 13. Obviously, everyone's more or less a human, but one of them's just Australian. And then. and then 15 is just like here's 4 white boys, have fun. And
13 undoes all its diversity by having the whitest man in history as in Snow, and he's literally called Snow as well. So I can't get whiter than him.
And you know what? Annoyingly, I actually really like it. I really like Snow.
Oh no!
But no, I really like 15. I think it's something because there's something about the relationship between those 4 white boys that I really love. I really love the camaraderie. I really love the journey that they go on together. It really is an imperfect game, but in presenting,
Yes, it is.
I can't say. I'm sorry. Have I mentioned it's an imperfect game? But in the portrayal of those 4 characters and the relationship that those 4 characters have with each other, it's little moments of writing. It's little moments by the campfire. The things that they say to each other when they're on the move or in the car, and when they fight. The way that they animate their fighting together. You know, people coming in and blocking an attack and then coming and doing a counter attack like in live combat. All of that stuff is really well presented, and even though it's a bit fucking cheesy, pushing the car with Stand By Me, when you know what these characters are about to go through, I actually find that really emotional. Like, I actually really can give a shit for 5 minutes in that moment, especially.
I think the way that we've talked about 15 before is that it's a game full of so much untapped potential.
Yeah.
The beats are there and you can almost reach it. Like it's so close to being like not necessarily the perfect game, because there are a lot of things that I probably would change about it. Combat and plot and everything notwithstanding.
Renee needs to be in it more, yeah.
But like, you know, you can see the beats and you can see how they really, really could work. They just don't a lot of the time. And it's that potential that often drives me to think that it's a lot better than it actually is. Like, whenever I talk about it with some of my best friends, like, we'll end up talking about it for hours at a time, and it's like, you know, oh, I love this character, or I love this, that, or the other, and it's like, no, I have to take a step back and remember, I'm loving the bits that I built up in my head. The reality is actually, unfortunately, paper thin and makes the kind of, like, wobbling laminated paper noise.
And in some ways, it kind of created a sandbox for people to be able to do that. And I think that was the idea, was it was supposed to be like a template for a bunch of future DLCs, wasn't it? The idea was that we're going to save money and just produce it in one world and then build on it, which they kind of did with Final Fantasy 14 eventually anyway, didn't they, in a sense? But save money is probably the wrong phrase, but...
Oh, 15. How we revile you.
Yeah, no, I know it's the produce, the sort of the... It's the culmination of a lot of problems, that project.
Yeah.
But also just shout out Final Fantasy 16 for, one, Ifrit versus Titan. I will lose my mind every time that music plays.
Soken does it again.
Just every time Soken does a Soken, I can't help but lose my mind. I just can't help it.
Yeah.
That moment and the Dragon Ball Z fight in space is what I'm just going to call it. Like, those moments absolutely make 16 stand out on the map for, like, I like using this key word with 16 a lot, which is like 16 really, really nailed one particular feeling, and it is reverence. Like, the feeling, or like the word awesome, but in the sense of, like, for something to have awe, real AWE, and these fights of genuine nuclear disaster bombs fighting each other. That is what Final Fantasy 16 really hammers well for me, and on that alone, it's completely unbeatable, I think.
Yeah, I think I've talked about this in our 16 episode, because there are some sort of narrative issues we discussed with Final Fantasy 16, but I think I might have said something along the lines as it felt like the first time in a long time Square Enix became industry leaders in something, because the spectacle of those battles that you are putting yourself in, part of your performing those battles. When you fight Bahamut as Ifrit, and obviously the Phoenix is flowing around as well, like, and it's the first time in the game you're like, I don't want to kill this person because he's actually completely on my side, essentially. it's just this, oh my god, like, what am I doing? But at the same time, I want to kill this big scary monster and like do you sort of like railgun shooting, epic Dragon Ball Z fighting space thing. And it's like, it's kind of like the first time really in a game that I think games really kind of fulfilled that sort of magical anime Power Rangers thing from when we were kids. Like, it's like, wow, okay, like this is just cool. It's too cool. And the voice acting in that game as well is
Oh yeah.
spectacular.
No, it's great, and obviously it's really cinematic, and it's so much closer to like a
Yeah.
HBO sort of fantasy politics story and things like that, which is such a risky and different thing for Square Enix to try. And you know what? I actually think one thing I say about Final Fantasy 16 is no matter how much you like or dislike it, I think they made the game they set out to make.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a compliment in games these days when there's so much you have to concede on, and there's so much you have to cut from scope, and there's so much you have to compromise on because of the people you answer to and the audience you answer to.
No, I'll completely agree with that, actually. Like, I might not necessarily agree with the vision of the game, but it is very clear that they had a vision for the game, and you're right, they fulfilled it. So, absolutely, I can give them kudos for that.
Yeah.
And like you said, that is kind of getting rarer in the industry now as well. There are so many things that you have to capitalize on just to be able to create a product at the end of the day, which is a real shame, unfortunately.
No,
No,
definitely.
very happy for them.
I did also notice, briefly speaking about voice acting, on your professional voice acting reel, Jonas, there is a clip where you assume the role of Clive Rosfield.
Oh, really? I've not seen that one. I looked at a few. I didn't realize.
Oh, you have to. It's a really good clip, actually. I really enjoyed that one. It was a bit jarring for me because the rest of the characters on that reel I didn't recognize or I didn't know them, so it took for me like a moment to realize this was actually your reel, and then I recognized the words and I was like, this isn't Ben Starr. What the hell is going on? Oh, it's Jonas. Right. Okay. Oh, yeah. No, this is really good. All right. Right.
Thank you.
So, ultimate question. I'm assuming you would love to be in a Final Fantasy. Like, that would be the dream, right?
Yeah. That would be the milestone.
What kind of role would you want to be? Would you want to be protagonist, villain? Would you want to be a freak?
Yeah. Do you want to be Seymour?
No, okay, so there are like two types of characters I really like being, I think. One is I really like being a narrator. I love narrating. So to be a character that is a bit of a voice of God about a scenario and to kind of be delivering the facts of a scenario, that I would love that. The other one is I really like merchants. A worker at your service sort of like character. I think I'd like to be a recurring and a memorable merchant.
That's really cute, actually. Like,
That's
the concept
cool.
of, like, all of Final Fantasy is that I want to be the guy that sells you shit. Like, that's a really cute little goal to have.
I think Final Fantasy has memorable merchants.
Oh, it
I think
does.
it's actually, like, it's something that is an identity for Final Fantasy, is to have these memorable NPCs and side characters.
Yeah.
And, yeah, to just be the character that's, like... And I think this was influenced by, like, the Resident Evil's, like, got a good deal for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Here's a bolt gun. Yeah.
Good things on sale, stranger. Like, to deliver that for Final Fantasy, I think would absolutely be like the feather in my cap.
This is another reason why you need to play Final Fantasy IX, because Stiltskin is the best merchant.
Oh my
In
god,
the series.
yes. You would make a fantastic
You would be
Stiltskin.
so good at
Interesting.
Stiltskin. You've got to, honestly, one of my favourite characters in the series.
You know, I know you haven't played 9, Jonas. For reference here, Stiltskin is a Moogle. He's a travelling Moogle. He's got a different pattern to the rest of them. When I was a kid, because I guess I sat too far away from my TV, so my eyes didn't turn into squares or whatever. I guess because those like little pixel things, they're constantly moving, it's quite hard to tell what things are in 9 sometimes. I had no idea for the longest time that Stiltskin was a Moogle. I thought it was just like a little gnome in a fucking like leopard print onesie or something.
It's like a leopard print Moogle, and he travels around the world, and you can give him gil, and he gives you items, and it's like, oh, hello, traveller, I need some help. And it's basically you help him out, and he helps you out, and it's just one of the cutest little sort of optional bits.
You say help him out, I say beg packing. That little guy is like, I'm gonna travel around the world, and then he gets to his next location, he's like, oh no, I've run out of money. I recognise you, do you want to give me a $5? Like, no, get a job, get a real fucking job, what's wrong with you?
He is cool, though. Can't be a bit of Stiltskin.
You just like the leopard print.
I do like the leopard print. He's just such a cool character. Like, Moogles are cool.
When I do eventually, because it will happen.
Yes.
Fun fact: I got 8 and 9 on the PlayStation 1 original Japanese for like 200 yen each in Japan.
What?
Like that's like £1.
Where the hell were you shopping? I didn't see anything for that price when I was out there last.
You just get away from the major tourist destinations, go to a little second-hand electronics shop, and you will just find games and technology at their actual prices, like at actual cheap prices.
So
200 fucking
we might hit you up for a cheat sheet because I really want to go to Japan at some point. Like, I think it has to happen.
Believe me, I will talk. That's again another podcast.
Yes, yeah, just like the Jonas spin-off series. No, like brilliant. No. So that's really cool. I mean, I've been doing some more voice acty stuff in the background. I've done it. I'm dipping back into it. Mole's kind of bullied me into it in a way, sort of encouraged me into it.
No, bullied was the right word. You
Yeah,
got
you
it right
bullied me
first
into
time.
it. I've been doing like little clips of stuff. I did the infamous scene from Castlevania Symphony of the Night. What is a man, a little miserable little part of the secrets. So I'm like creating my own real channel. Why not? And I'm looking for things to just do. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe, yeah, you've given me some ideas. So I like that.
All right, Jack, same question to you. All of Final Fantasy is available to you. What kind of role are you going for?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd love to play Squall Leonhardt, but that's not going to happen ever. Because I'd just be like moody teenager Jack. I don't know. I think something like we mentioned Stiltskin, something like a really sort of. I think you said the word freak, Jonas. Something with a really bombastic voice. A crazy character that's very
So we got a merchant and a freak.
Kuja would be amazing. I don't care. Like he's just the most. I think Kuja would be great. I'd love to play Kuja. Kuja's the villain in Final Fantasy 9, by the way.
I know the name. Dissidia has taught me who the heroes and villains of each game are.
Yes, cool, nice, brilliant.
Well, I think that's a good place to start winding down then. Before we say our goodbyes, Jonas, we have a little quiz for you, as is customary with our guests. This time we're changing it up a little bit because you had such a widespread of games that you enjoyed, and I wasn't sure just how much you knew about 10. Obviously, I know better now. We're going to give you a quote, and you're going to have to tell us which game you think it's from. I've picked quotes that are actually relatively easy because I wasn't sure just how in-depth you were about these games. Jack, do you want to go with the first one?
Yes, and by the way, Jonas, we use this as an excuse to do silly voices as well, so the voice might not be representative of what the character sounds like, it's just us being silly. Okay, so I'll go for one. I don't like your plan. It sucks. I don't like your plan. It sucks.
I'm pretty confident this is Yuna, Final Fantasy X. It's a female voice. I don't like your plan. It sucks. So I don't know why, but I think it's Yuna.
Yuna's correct. It's from 10-2, I'm afraid.
There's some irony there that you got the character right, but didn't get the game. But yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That was really good, though. Well done.
Yeah.
All right, number 2. And I'm pretty sure you'll get this one. Such devastation. This was not my intention.
Galrus von Heisenberg.
Von Trapp. Yeah.
Whatever his name is.
No, you got it right. Garrus von Heisentrap.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 14.
Correct.
Goddamn level 50. When you enter, you can
Praetorium, yeah.
Yeah, you enter the roulette to do story, and then that one comes up, and you know you're going to spend the next 45 minutes in a cutscene.
Or just AFK, honestly.
Yeah.
This is just a stealth way to get me to play 14, isn't it, guys? You're just
Yep.
trying to trick me. Right, the third one then. You guys are the best.
You guys are the best. I honestly, so I don't know, but I'm just going to make a guess. Is it Final Fantasy 15?
Yes, correct.
It is. It's the final line of the game.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's the final of the game, then it's gonna be Noctis, isn't it?
Yeah. Number 4, then. There's sand on my boots.
There's sand on my boots. There's sand on my boots. Who would... Someone's complaining about sand. I don't think it's anyone on B-Sade Island because that place is a paradise and no one would ever complain. Is it a 12?
No.
No, it's not a 12. I'm 100% uncertain.
Okay, that one is Kefka from Final Fantasy VI.
Ah, great, yeah.
Yeah.
Good laugh.
Me attempting to do the laugh there. Okay, my one. Okay then, so... Looks like we're going to need a bigger sword.
I have to assume it's Final Fantasy VII because of big sword jokes, but...
Nope.
But no, it looks like we're going to need a bigger sword.
I can't do the impression of this person's voice. He's just that good.
Who's going to need a bigger sword?
We always need a bigger sword. It doesn't help this one at all.
Yeah.
Looks like we're going to need a bigger sword.
Looks like we're going to need a bigger sword. Yeah, no, is it Final Fantasy 16? Is it a Clive?
It is.
It is, yes.
Is it a Clive?
No, that one's from Sid, I'm afraid.
It's Sid. I can't do his thunderous voice. That's just
No
impossible
one
to
can
emulate.
sound like Ralph Innocent except for Ralph Innocent.
Yeah, it's like very gravelly. Like I can't do it.
He's
Yeah.
so gravelly and just so charismatic.
All right, you want to keep breathing? Shut up and come quiet.
Shut up and come quiet. You want to keep breathing. That is it. Final Fantasy 12.
That one's not.
Althea? No. Oh, who would threaten someone and tell them if you want to keep breathing, shut up and keep quiet? I mean, I know I must have played these games, so therefore I know it must be one of the games I have played. But again, I cannot place it.
Do you want to toss out a random guess?
Why not Final Fantasy? Did I say 10-2 already?
You did already. They didn't say 10-2 already, but
We've
it's been
already
10-2
had
already.
one from 10-2, so therefore we won't have another one. Yeah, what's missing? What's
clever.
missing? I'm gonna keep breathing. Is it 10? Final Fantasy 10?
No. This one's from 13, I'm afraid. This is Fang's first appearance.
Should have done an Australian accent.
Oh,
Mark,
sorry.
I
Yeah.
I was trying, that was the worst part. I can't do accents.
You want to keep breathing, mate? Shut up and come quiet.
Jesus Christ.
You're all right, mate. Don't worry about it, mate.
Can the two of you redub Fang and Vanille, please?
Wow.
We're bloody,
We can bloody well do that,
We're-
mate. That'll be fantastic.
I'm a Lucille, and I'm just gonna turn my summon into a bloody vehicle now.
And I'm actually from New Zealand. I'm really sorry.
Oh my god. Yeah, I know I need to play 13, but dubbed by you guys.
Mol, what we just did there was a perfect recreation of what the original game sounds like. There was
Oh, I see. All right, penultimate one, Jack. You want to take it?
Okay. A summoner with bed hair? What's the world coming to?
I guess that has to be Final Fantasy X. Is that Lulu who says that line? No.
No.
I thought it might be a member of the past. Well, summoner with bed hair. Waka?
It is
Very
Waka.
good.
I wasn't going to do the Jamaican accent because I don't want to get cancelled. Even though it was the voice actor of Bender that does it originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The John DiMaggio.
Right, and our final one for you, Jonas. If I could protect but one person from war's horror, then I would bear any shame. I would bear it proudly.
Oh my god, that sounds like such a great line, and yet I barely know where it's from. Is it from Final Fantasy VII?
No.
If I could protect any person from war's shame, I would bear it proudly.
If I could protect but one person from war's horror, then I would bear any shame. I would bear it proudly.
I'm trying to remember, we already named a bunch of games, but I'm sure we've had a Final Fantasy 16. Have we had a 12?
Nope.
So Final Fantasy 12?
Yes. You want to have a pop at the character?
Who would say that? Would it be Ash, or would it be the guy?
Ash or the guy, fucking
the
Mr. Man.
Mr.
How can you forget his name? It's said so many times in the game.
I'm Captain Bosch. That's his name.
That's
There
the
we
one.
go.
There is Captain Bosch von Rosenberg of Dalmasca.
Yeah, I remember that segment of the game, and I just
Don't listen to Andor's lies.
Don't listen to Andor's lies.
Congratulations, Jonas. That's 10 out of 16. I think that's pretty fucking admirable,
You've
actually.
done well.
A 10. There's something. Why?
Yeah, it all wraps around full circle.
Yes, exactly.
It's fabulous.
Well, once again, thank you so much for your time, Jonas. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah.
Whereabouts can people find you online?
Oh my lord, everywhere. Okay, well, you can find me on most platforms. I tend to use the 4 letters JTTG to hide myself, find myself, because those are my initials. So if you type in JTTG into Blue Sky or, I don't know, maybe an Instagram, maybe you'll find me. Otherwise, you can find me very easily with my name, Jonas Gawe. I have one of those names that isn't actually much of a duplicate in the world. And, I'm on Blue Sky as JTTG primarily, and from there you can find my website and all my other bits.
Awesome. Jack, whereabouts can we find you?
So you can find me on Blue Sky at JackieBoy34. Most places I'm JackieBoy34. The only place I'm not is Twitter, which is JackMullen8, which is still used to message occasionally people. And also EXP Required is on YouTube and Blue Sky at EXP Required.
And as always, I can be found at Adramalek on both Twitter, Blue Sky, anywhere that I have a handle, it'll be that one. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. And once again, thank you for joining us, Jonas.
Cheers, Jonas. Thank you very much.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Cool.